Good afternoon, students from Mohawk College. I am Ty Howie, Programming Manager for the MSA. If you're tuning in now or whether you're tuning in later, thanks for joining us on our discussion called Let's Bike Together. And we have two special guests with us today. Our first guest with us is the president of the Mohawk Student Association. Ashik Ashik is joining us today. And we also have Emilee Schevers. Emilee is our new Fennell Director on the Mohawk Student Association board, studying ECE. And both are going to join us today to have a talk all about biking and how we can bike together and celebrate biking together as well. So first, thank you both for joining us today. This is really fun. We're gonna start, I think, with Ashik. And Ashik has a really fun story. Ashik, as the president of the MSA, you have graduated. Ashik was an international student at Mohawk and is a big biking advocate, a biking rider. So really, let's just start off with your story of how you got into biking.
Thank you so much, Ty. Hello, everyone. Hello, Mohawkians. So I came to Canada in 2019 and, I didn't know where to get a bike and, I haven't seen trails back in my country. So I came to Canada, went for a walk. I think it was Bruce Street. Yeah, it was Bruce Street because I was living near to Scenic Loop and I saw this men flying next to me, with their bikes. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like I had to get a bike now. So I was working in Walmart that time and, I was so fortunate to get a bike for $140. And I went for the trail and realized the fact that, it's not helping me much. It's not durable, it's not strong. So I've decided to sell that and, I sold it. Bought my second bike, Candidate F7. It was super cool, super fun bike. And after that, going for a couple of trails like Tiffany Falls, Bruce Trails, Scenic Trails and everything. I was like, it's time for me to upgrade. And I went for the Trek version, which was around $1,000. And it was so huge. So I can, I'm 5'6" or something. So bought another one. So it was like 4 bikes in a row and it was super fun. Like I really enjoyed it. And, it was my first experience going through the trails and I still love it. So yeah, there I am.
All right. And next we're going to bring in Emilee here and ask her how she got into cycling and biking, because Emilee has a little bit of a different story. And then I'm going to get to why we're all here and talking about this, because this is all going to come together. So Emilee, tell us your story, because I love your story as well.
Of course. So I'm Emilee, and I happen to be legally blind, and I am a tandem cyclist for Team Ontario currently. I didn't get started into biking until my late teens, mostly because I didn't have the opportunity to. I first got to try tandem cycling in my hometown through a local group, and just got to ride recreationally through the summer, and I really enjoyed it. And then last year when I attended the School for the Blind, I got the opportunity to compete in tandem cycling and actually train for it. And get to even try the track, which was super cool. And I was told that I was smiling the entire time that I was on there and just really fell in love with it from there.
Yeah, that's it. It's a really awesome story. I know a lot about it because we've talked about this previously. But the reason that we're all here and the theme of Let's Bike Together is today, June 3rd, is World Bicycle Day. That's number 1. Number 2, it's Bike Month in Ontario. And number 3, this is also Accessibility Awareness Week. So we bring all these kind of themes and great initiatives together. And that's why we've invited both of you today to talk to us. Let's jump back to Ashik. So are you riding now? How often do you train? How often do you get out on the, I know you like trails. So how often have you been getting out, and what's kind of your plans for the summer?
Okay, so my first plan is to get a bike because I moved here near to McMaster in last September or something. Yeah, that's November, so somewhat close to that date. So if you ask me how often I bike every day. So I think sad because I told you, right, because I used to work in Walmart and I always go to my workplace with my bike, and I think I was the only person who was taking my bike to my workplace last year. So I bike every day. There are two of my friends. Their name is Legion and Joseph, who are like crazy as me, like, at night or, at any time, like, hey, let's go for biking. They'd be like, yeah, let's go, man. Like, yeah, let's go. So we bike every day. We bike around 30, 25 kilometers. We go from Scenic Loop to Tiffany Falls, come back. We went to Dundas Peak, and, we bike every day. And yeah, that's my answer for like how often. Like,
what's the difference, if there is any, but is there a difference between biking in Canada and then biking back home for you? Because I think you said trail biking was not very big.
Yeah, so back in my country, it would be like, you commute to places just for commuting, right? And in here, there are a lot of trails. Hamilton is packed with trails. We have a lot of fun trails. So I was so amused, and I was like, oh, this would have been fun. I learned how to do the bunny hop. I learned a few things, few tricks, and, and trails was not a big piece back in my country because we don't have it. We would have gone to a forest, but there wouldn't be any trails. But so that's what made me, think like, okay, I can ride through these trails and it would be super fun. And, it gives me a relief from the stress I had when I was in lockdown and everything. So it was more of a mental well-being, right? Like, getting back to my home at work from my workplace and, going for a trail with my friends. So it was so peaceful and I love it. So since 2019, I started my biking, and I'm going to get my bike as soon as possible. So I'm excited for the summer. Yes.
Yeah, it may be, huge this summer. I think I know for sure, and a lot of people, that bikes are very hard to come by right now, just because everybody's spending some time outside, and it's one of an active thing to do, but it's one of the only things to do right now. And I know there's different bike share programs and things within the city that you can rent bikes, and so I know there's different options there for students if they're interested. They don't actually have to buy a bike. There's other options. So yeah,
there are other options, but once you fall in love with trail biking or mountain biking, you need to get the bike you want, right? So it was so easy past 1 year. Like, when I look back into 2019, it was somewhat easy to get a bike because there was a lot of options and everything. But right now, when I look into Kijiji or like a marketplace or something, like it's really hard because we don't have much bikes, and so it's gonna be hard. But I'm gonna definitely get one for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that story. Now let's shift it over to Emilee, because Emilee's on a totally different end of the spectrum. Emilee trains. Emilee competes. Emilee does a lot of cool things with biking. So let's dive in a little bit more. Tell us about Tandem Cycling. Tell us about kind of your stories and what you've achieved and accomplished and what your goals are and stuff like that.
So unlike Ashik, I don't necessarily get to ride on the mountain bikes, the trails, that sort of thing. The primary competition aspects of tandem cycling are track, which you'll see in the video, and road. And mostly everything that's done is time trial based. So it can be an individual pursuit or a kilo race where you'll do a couple laps. They'll all be timed, and then you'll be competing against everybody else's time. I currently, like I said, train on Team Ontario. We haven't been able to get out a whole lot because of the lockdown situation, but I was very lucky that my pilot, who is the person on the front of the bike, actually lives in Hamilton. So when I was in Hamilton, we did get out on the bike together, which is really lucky to do. There are people who they live in one province and their pilot lives in a completely other province. So I was really lucky to have her in the same city as me. And then, so now that I am back home in the Peterborough area, I train 4 to 5 days on the bike. I have a stationary bike, it's essentially a single bike on a trainer that has the power to adjust magically and is able to like make it harder and lighter without me having to do all the nitty gritty of it. And then a couple days off the bike with some yoga and some core work and other things like that.
Yeah. So when we talk about ParaCycling, there's a few different classifications. There's a few different options for people out there. So what's the kind of the different classifications within ParaCycling?
So ParaCycling as a whole has 4 different kind of main categories for all different abilities. So there is the blind and low vision category, which is the tandems. There is a C class, which is essentially regular bikes that are slightly adapted to somebody who maybe has a foot amputation or low level of cerebral palsy or a traumatic brain injury or something like that. Then there is tricycle classifications for maybe somebody who has a higher level of CP or brain injury. And then there is the hand cyclist for somebody who maybe has a spinal cord injury and doesn't have function of their legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's, when we talked about this previously before doing this event, but when we think about, World Bicycle Day and Bike Month, a lot of the focus goes to biking solo, biking in the more traditional sense. But for us, we wanted to make sure it's important to let everybody know that biking is inclusive and there's a lot of different options for people with different abilities. And, we created this fun little graphic behind this, and we really enjoyed your story, and I know we follow you on social media and different stuff. So it's really cool to see you as a young student, out there as an advocate for tandem cycling. That's really, really awesome. One thing I do want to bring up is I really liked your story, and I hope you can tell what is your goal for tandem cycling? Where do you want to take it?
We are currently on track and putting plans together so that Team Ontario's plans align with Team Canada's plans. So that is kind of the next step in the journey. And then who knows, maybe one day you'll catch me at the Paralympics.
There it is. There it is right there. If you're watching today, you may be looking at a future Olympian in this little chat. So we said it here first at Mohawk. So, pay attention for Emilee down the road and see where she ends up. Last thing I wanted to talk about is students. And students, if they're interested in, and I know we have 2 different spectrums here and 2 different sides of biking, but let's talk about, I'll go to Ashik first. Let's talk about biking kind of recreationally. What's your advice for students if they want to get interested in kind of recreation biking? Maybe they've never tried it before, or maybe they're interested in trying it. What's kind of your advice for students around that and how they can start and get involved?
So before I start, let me say that biking is super fun. So, if you are starting, like if you want to try biking or something, first rent a bike before you actually buy it, or buy a cheaper bike so that you get to know your passion. Sometimes you would be a great fan of the road biking, not the mountain biking. It takes a little bit of time. So I would say don't go for the expensive one first, and you change your mind and be like, I'm a road biker, so I need to buy a road bike. So always, buy the cheaper ones or rent a bike to know your passion. And after that, you decide what to get. Like, you want to go for mountain biking, you want to go for, tandem biking, you want to go for road biking or something. So that would be my biggest advice, to save money and, to get to know your passion. So try first before you go and buy something which is really expensive.
Oh, awesome. And then on the flip side, so on the more competitive side, and there's two sides of competitive, right? There's cycling and there's paracycling. And I know Emilee is a paracyclist, but where can people go to find out more information, more on the competitive end of cycling?
I think the best place to go is the Ontario Cycling Association website. They have a ton of information on there about how their competitive programs run. You can find a team or a club in your area. And if you are more on the paracycling side of things, I know there was not an incredible amount of opportunity to try tandem cycling for me. But one thing I did wish that I did know about was the Ontario Cycling Association, because they have opportunities for paracycling, renting hand cycles, like getting you connected and getting the right bike fit for you if you have those different abilities and anything like that. So I think they're a great resource, and there's tons of information on their website.
That's awesome. Yeah. So again, for any Mohawk student who is interested in biking, today is World Bicycle Day. So if you have access to a bike, get out there, ride around. It's also Bike Month in Ontario. If you have a bike, get out this month, take some photos, share them with friends. It's a great outdoor activity that not only is fun, but it's also active, and it keeps up that health and wellness. And for anybody that may be interested in biking, that has a different ability than somebody else, there are options. There's a lot of information out there, and we really encourage everybody, just if you're interested in biking, just to look it up and ask questions. And we're here. The MSA is here to support students. We have two, I will say, experts in biking, one being advocates, but other being, athletes as well. And if you're ever interested, feel free to contact, the MSA board, contact Ashik, contact Emilee. Contact information is on the Mohawk students website of all our board members. And yeah, we will be happy to share any information that we can. I wanted to thank both of you for joining us today on this lovely chat. And hopefully we can get more students out on the wheels out in the world. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ty, for giving us an opportunity to speak in front of all the students and, to be live. And I really thank you and the team who worked behind this one. So thank you so much.
Awesome. June 3rd, World Bicycle Day. We will see you again at a future event. Enjoy your day.